Welcome to the live stream, everybody. Good to see everybody in the house tonight. Today, we've got a lot to cover. We've also got the Artemis shuttle landing, which is amazing. Not the shuttle, but the capsule, re-entry capsule coming down, and that'll be taking place. We'll probably cut to that here in a second. So be on the lookout for that. But also, we're going to focus on the Strait of Hormuz, and we'll focus on why this bad boy has been closed for so long. So that's kind of the big go-to for tonight. So we'll go from there and we'll make it all happen. So we don't know what exactly the reasoning is behind the actual strait closing down. And we can probably guess, right? Yeah. IRGC says they were going to open it up, but we all kind of know you're dealing with terrorists. If you saw the video today, we kind of chatted a little bit about what that's like. So saying hi to everybody here. We got D Pew, Crystal First, ATS Steam. Yeah, that's what that says. Seth Goldberg in the house. All right. Good to see the crew. Glad everybody is here tonight and should go for should be a good chat tonight. I'm excited. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a goal in there and I'll do my best to catch it. Diamond's going to be here. She's going to be a little bit late. We might actually pop her on the camera just to help kind of moderate things along. So we'll go ahead and start the super chat timer. If you guys throw a super chat in, I'll do my best to go ahead and answer whatever you guys have to ask. So should be a good time. Go ahead and start that goal and we're off to the races. Okay, so overall, the straits being closed. I mean, it's definitely wild situation that, I knew was going to come up. We always knew they were going to do this, but it's a different thing. Like we know they're going to do something. It's a different thing when you actually see them do it, right? So obviously that's a factor here, but here's kind of what I've been seeing as far as some of the imagery goes. And then big shout out to Derek. Derek is an original gangster hooking it up. GHWB 77 and group should be arriving there anytime. No, I'm not actually sure which units are arriving in the area. But if you know, cool. I try to be really careful with what I cover as far as what exact units, unless it's been fully released into the media. I just don't want to be the guy that breaks the news that there's a unit on the way when, we don't know if they're actually headed there or not. And again, it comes down to operational security sometimes. So I'll default to that. But I do appreciate you throwing in the super thanks. So this is LaRock Island. Good to see the chat tonight. Hope everybody's doing good. Yeah, Diamond should have a camera tonight, but we'll see. She should be able to make the chat, but remains to be seen. She's out gallivanting around the world. So we'll maybe get some of her thoughts. She's been, following me along this whole journey. So it might be fun to get some of her thoughts as well. We operate as a team, so we kind of cover a lot of this stuff together. I brief her, she briefs me. We kind of try to do this stuff on the same page. So ultimately, LaRock Island, not too much being targeted on LaRock, which is interesting. ASCM site, so you got some surface-to-air weaponry here. I don't see it, but this is from Derek. So Derek's going to corroborate this data for us based off of a lot of AI, like focus on AI. That's kind of the big thing that goes on there. So appreciate you guys all being here in the chat tonight. LaRock Island ASCM site. And we'll be covering just a lot of the different things going on around some of these islands where the IRGC claims, a lot of these places are they're just vacation areas. But we've looked at a few of these different maps and we can clearly see that pretty much everything that's based around the Strait of Hormuz is fully based, for the actual operation I've told you guys about, which is proxy warfare. That is the number one go-to. Again, studying this for over a decade, that's what they told us was going to go down, was proxy warfare. So is the war, we're in a ceasefire right now. It's great. I hope we don't fight again, but I have some major concerns. I mean, obviously there's probably some really good backdoor, so to speak, meetings going on where the administration's talking to the actual who's ever newly in charge of the regime. What's that going to look like? But we've also got some new stuff coming out from Reza Pahlavi that I want to break to you guys. We'll be breaking that tonight. And then remember, the 90 million, well, the country has roughly 92 million people in it. Sammy, thank you for all you cover on the military service. I did not make it to pass selection process here in Sweden. Due to health issues, which are out of my hands, God bless. Thank you for your service. Well, thank you for trying. I think that's beautiful. Remember, service can come in a lot of different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be military. And you gave your shot, you did your best, and then going and serving in some other way is awesome as well, my friend. So don't stop serving. Serving's good for your character. This is what I always tell people, because some younger people will say, how do I become a YouTuber? How do I become a streamer? And I get it. I mean, actually, I never I never thought about that until I was a little bit older, in my probably late 20s. But growing up now, being a young person, it's obvious that, streaming, YouTube, all this stuff, podcasting is a massive thing. And I say do it, but I say do something else first. Do something that to make yourself stand out and become an expert in something, and then come back and get really, really good at something, and then come back and become a streamer. Just my 2 cents. Okay, so good to see everybody. Ricka, John, Dant, Real Patriot, Sammy, thanks again for that. Craig, Hutchinson, good to see the whole crew here tonight. Really is awesome. Really makes my heart just warm inside. Gives me tingles in places I didn't know I had. Seeing you guys have fun in the chat. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Thomas, Gonzalez, Chimmy, Jewel, Grunge, Fake Person is here. Tampa Pete, and Recall. So here's another. If we look at some of the imagery again that Derek hooked us up with, we got launch sites. Let's see if I can just kind of give us a little better. There we go. That's kind of better. I like that a little better. So when we look at the different sites here, so people have asked, well, why is the strait closed? Well, this is pretty much the best I can tell. This is probably one of the biggest reasons right here. And that is the Hingam Island comm site. So comm site, that's going to be focused, as you can guess, that will be focused on actually detecting what's going through the strait. So you can see this big antenna right here, massive antenna. So I am surprised that some of these weren't hit. So what that tells me is there is a bigger plan at work here. There's a bigger plan at play, which shows us potentially that there is some plan for someone, whether it's the regime that we've known and loved. Yeah, the regime we've known and loved. Likely many other people that are in the mix now, that maybe there was a reason to not strike down and take out all of these different sites, so that the next power broker, whoever that is, can actually control the Strait of Hormuz and make money for the Iranian people. I'm so confused. What's your take on Q? Patriots say this isn't really happening. My take on Q. I've been off my phone all day. I've been at the gym. Humble brag. My take on Q. So someone tell me what Q is. I'll look it up here in a second. But tell me more about Q. Would love to know more. I'll go ahead and just so I don't forget it, I'll throw it up right there. You guys can tell me a little more about what you're thinking there. So I wish I could change this text. Well, it's fine. It's fine for now. It's just kind of, oh, here we go. I think I can do this. Make it a little smaller. No. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to pop to this view just so it doesn't cover my face while we talk, while we figure out what's going on with Q. Someone tell me what Q is. Artemis just splashed down. Nice. Okay, let's pop over to that real quick and we'll pop back to this once that is complete. So let's pop to Artemis real quick. Go to X, go to NASA, pop over to NASA and see what they're up to. Boom. Let's see. I'm going to hide that chat. Okay. NASA, where you at? Let's see. Boom. They just splashed down. That is epic. Let's go. No way. They are coming home. Artemis. Artemis coming home, baby. Yep, exactly. Okay, so watch the Artemis 2 crew returns to Earth, splashing down at around 8:07 p.m. Eastern time. So that just happened. We just got splashed down. Looks like, from the best I can tell. I'm surprised the ships weren't a little closer to it. Like as soon as it Splash down. You
antenna,
think
so
that
you
they'd
may
be
run
like
into trouble with the
right
radio.
there. See if there's any audio on this.
Okay, copy. And we are also powering up the sat phone now.
Nice. Man.
So integrity is in great shape. And as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board, Reed Wiseman once again reporting that all 4 crew members are in excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to
Thanks,
maintain
Wes.
an upright configuration.
Looks like one airbag didn't inflate.
The recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room,
Oh, Seth. Yeah, I can talk about that.
Is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to turn down their audio. It should turn off their audio. You guys let me know if you can hear it for some reason. But someone asked about the Q. So the Q people, I think they're just a little wild. You know, they're claiming that, I think, what do they actually claim? They claim the Q Clearance Patriot claims that a cabal of satanic, cannibalistic child molesters, deep state operating global child sex trafficking. Yeah. And that Donald Trump is leading the fight against them. Well, that's good that he's leading the fight against them. I think people get wild and they want to get as much attention as possible. So it's pretty crazy. That's what I'd say on Q. So there you go. Answer that question. Yep. Big 80s. Good to see you. You drink it. Cappy Army versus Max AB. Yeah. What, arm wrestling? What should we do? Little arm wrestling competition? And then Seth Goldberg, you're asking a little bit about what's going on with the weapons officer's heartbeat. I think that was Ghost, some system called Ghost Murmur, if I remember correctly. So Ghost Murmur is actually what happens when you're looking for a heartbeat and you're trying to find a heartbeat in a big, massive area. Then that's how that happens. You use that Ghost Murmur. I'm not sure the exact technology behind it, but basically you could see on a screen someone's heartbeat from a long ways away. Not sure exactly how far away, but it's really cool. Really cool. Yeah. Artemis splashdown, baby. That's so cool. I mean, what an epic day. Epic day for humanity. Just awesome. Good to see everybody in the chat tonight. We got a whole amazing crew of people. Leona's here, Brent, CD, Big 80s, Nake, Real Patriot. The ship sits 5 miles away until splashdown. Oh, okay, 5 miles away. I guess there's some variance in where they could land, so it takes a while, yeah? So we'll watch this craft get picked up, and then we'll pop back to the target imagery for Iran. This is just too cool. We got to catch this. It's not like it happens very often, right? So good to see you. Flowmaster's here. Artemis splashdown. Artemis just splashed down in the Pacific. Wes is keeping us all on track. Appreciate that. Leona is here. Flowmaster, Wes. The team is all in the chat tonight. Good to see the chat. So Ghost Murmur is a really amazing technology. When you think about these different technologies, a lot of times when it comes to warfare, what will come out of warfare are advanced technologies. So we get advanced systems built off of conflict. Unfortunately, the conflict has to happen. But at the end of the day, it's really nice that there is some silver lining, right, at a conflict. And a lot of that is technology. So if we're getting a better technology, then ultimately there's at least a silver lining to conflict. And not to mention, getting rid of an Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, at least in the way that they used to be in power. Oh, there's a ship. I see it coming over the horizon. Curtis says, Q people are like flat earthers on steroids. Yeah, I'm kind of getting that vibe as well. Again, people it's like num num. It's like num 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 num. Like the flat earthers are like num 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 num. It feels so good to feel like we know exactly what's going on and no one else knows. I get it. That's a nice feeling. Like that's a human feeling. People like that. People like the feeling of like they're in on something that no one else is. It's just human nature. So I think it's cool that we're calling them out, saying that they're flat earthers on steroids, Curtis. I think you're spot on, my friend. Greg Anderson is in the chat. Did I ever want to be an astronaut? So, Greg, thank you for being here. Thank you for the super thanks. And Bill Kennedy, did you ever want to be an astronaut? It crossed my mind a couple times, but honestly, to me, I needed more adrenaline. And I get it. Blasting off in a rocket is insane. It's extremely cool. But the adrenaline that I got from being a fighter pilot, I don't think you could touch it anywhere else. So, pulling 9Gs, 500 miles an hour, 200 feet above the ground, really hard to compete with that. So really enjoy that. We got Ave, Real 4 Patriot, Droby. Good to see everybody in the chat tonight. It's awesome. Very cool. All right, so we got the super thanks rolling in. Let's see what else we got. I wonder if D Stew's here to moderate. Nope. Max AB Sarah should be popping in. Are there Muslim fighter pilots? Well, yeah, Muslim countries, like think about UAE, Qatar, they have fighter pilots. Saudi Arabia. So yeah, they do. There we go. All right, let's get some volume going on here so we can hear exactly what.
Be coordinating with the flight control team in Houston here in Mission Control on the timing of the power down of the vehicle, which will be the precursor to the recovery teams approaching the spacecraft.
It's awesome.
There are no issues with integrity. We've had a bit of.
Can you guys hear the audio from NASA?
Establishing a
Let me know.
or satellite phone communications capability between the crew on board Integrity and the recovery team. That will get sorted out here shortly.
So cool.
There's plenty of cooling on board Integrity, so there's no rush to begin the power down.
To call you on the sat phone and not getting an answer there either.
Concur. We haven't had anything come through.
So the sat phone's not working. Got to get that fixed. They're approaching very slowly. How epic would it be if like a blue whale just came up and was like,
you could relay to recovery that
what
we
up?
hear them, but it does not appear as though they are hearing us.
Well, you're pretty close to them. You don't necessarily need to hear them right now. They're literally right there. It's like when you call your roommate.
And Reed, just to confirm, you are pushing the PTT on the radio.
You're pushing the PTT, the push to talk. I hope he's pushing that. You just flew a space shuttle around the moon. Like, can we please make sure? Like, are you pushing the PTT really?
To sort out the communications between Integrity and the recovery teams. We are standing by for the initiation.
Did you turn the space shuttle on and off?
That, as you see, the
Push the
recovery teams
PTT.
are moving towards the side.
Come on, guys.
The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft.
The erection.
Called the front porch.
The erection of the inflatable raft.
The port of call for the crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
This is getting spicy. Let's get a good erection on that inflatable craft. I mean, are you guys hearing this? Is it just me?
Integrity Houston for sat phone. We are going to attempt to call you.
Don't call us, we'll call you.
Good idea, standing by.
Houston, did you pick the phone up off of the receiver?
And Jackie, yes. We are pushing the push to talk, the two buttons on the left side.
I forgot to turn the phone on.
We are utilizing them. I'm rebooting the radio to see if we get good comms.
Can I please be in charge of the NASA communications? Like,
okay, we copy all. And just to confirm, you are seeing that you're touchdown plus 3030 for power, correct?
we need to be cool on the radio, guys. Okay? Because this goes out to 1.5 million people listening right now. We need to be cool on the radio. All right, we've got a Sarah cam. Sarah's moderating for us today. Hi, Sarah. Welcome.
Hi.
All right,
Thank
you're
you.
not allowed to
Sorry
talk
I'm
too
late,
much. Wait, whoa,
everyone.
whoa. You're not allowed to
To
talk too
have,
much. We just need you to
mission
moderate to
control
start,
unit
and then we'll
call
bring
the
you in a
crew on their
second. We're
satellite
covering a
phone
really breaking situation
This
right
is all
now.
part
They're
of the
erecting
coordination
a
for the
raft.
power down
So
of the
Oh,
vehicle
we'll
okay.
bring you in a little bit, but go ahead and mute
will
your mic, and then I'll give you a thumbs up when to
initiate the
bring you in.
actual recovery operation.
All
The
right, so
first
big
boats
picture,
with the
guys,
Navy
what they're doing
divers
right
on
now
board
is they are bringing
standing
these
by,
different
waiting to
boats
close
around
in
the
on
raft, and
integrity
or around
to
the
begin
actual
the process
craft.
of erecting the large inflatable raft that's called the front porch.
The front porch.
Will be where the astronauts are extracted from so that they can have a few minutes to get their land legs back.
Yeah, the hard part's done, exactly.
Before they're hoisted aboard the Navy helicopters for the flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
So they're going to get them off of the actual craft, put them on helicopters after they erect the craft. This is a direct quote, Diamond, just so you know. The announcer is like, they're going to erect a launch raft outside of the pod. And everyone's like, erect a what? It was pretty wild. Pretty wild. And then very interesting too, that they're like, not sounding cool on the radio, bringing you up to speed. Basically, a lady.
Houston, please don't reply. NRD, very weak, but readable. Master diver, we can hear, but they cannot hear us.
So I need to be in charge of the NASA communications because a lady came on the radio and was like, they were having trouble connecting with each other. And she was like, did you push the PTT, which is the push to talk button? It's the button that everybody knows what to push. Literally, that's the one button you would push. And she's like, did you push the PTT? I was like, guys, we just flew around the moon. Can we not ask the lead astronaut if he's pushing the PTT? Like, good Lord. Like, one of the main principles is sound cool on the radio, and NASA, no offense, but guys, like, we got to fix that for next time. Bring me in. I'll sit in the control room. I won't get wild. We'll bring in Diamond. She can watch me, make sure I'm not doing anything crazy. But did you push the PTT? Did you pick the phone up off the receiver before you put it up to your ear?
Houston,
Like,
OE1,
it's
is there
killing
any
me.
chance to tie us into NRD?
Brutal. Nice. We got the helicopter on station. Looks like an HH-60. I think those are called the Sea Stallion, by the way, which is epic. Biggest button on the radio. Yeah, it's literally the big button, and it says PTT. I wish I had a radio with me right now. It says PTT on the button, and it's the biggest one right there. Did you push the PTT? Like, please, just put me in charge of this.
While we stand by for the establishment of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft.
Push the big red button.
To the
Yeah.
deck of the USS John P.
Oh
Murtha,
my gosh. Blowing my mind, guys.
Administrator Jared
All right, I'll chill out a little bit. Okay, all right, okay. I don't know. It hasn't gotten too crazy yet. Honestly, until Diamond says it's too crazy, she's got a pretty good meter for when it gets too wild.
It's an honor to be able to be here on the ship, to be able to share and experience this moment with everyone together. And of course, as you just said, yes, here with NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Administrator, how did you feel getting to witness this and seeing NASA at its best?
Oh, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm still at a loss for words. I mean, you know, like the childhood Jared right now can't believe what I just saw. I mean, almost been waiting my whole lifetime to see this, and then it's NASA Administrator. I just couldn't be more proud of the entire workforce, the years, the effort, the late nights, all the hard work from across the country that contributed to this incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on the John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at the behind us here.
Got everybody. Hey, what do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh?
Diamond, how's the audio sound from X?
Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah, so grateful to the Navy, the sailors that are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, to get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Nice.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment for humanity. Again,
look at that heat shield.
Historic mission to the moon and back. How does this?
Look at all the sun reflecting off that shield. That's wild.
Well, I'll tell you, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets. But then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now. And I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a lifetime, which you hear sometimes around here. It's like, this was a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028 and start building our base.
So rad.
Are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis 3? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So I mean, that's part of me too. Like, I can't wait to get the crew off of Integrity right now, but also getting Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis 3. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis 3 is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis 2, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean,
okay, that's kind of the same question. She basically just asked the same question, but it is really cool what she is getting at. And Isaacman is a rock star for what he's doing with NASA. Really cool that he's in charge, basically taking the gloves off, getting us to all these amazing places. 2028, a base on the moon. Hey, Diamond, can we do a Max Afterburner live stream from the moon since there's going to be a base there? Is that something that we can put on the schedule? Can we just go ahead and add that to the notes?
I'll see that. I'll see what I can do. I can do about that one.
Log it. We're doing it. Done. Boom. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's pop back to Google Earth, and let's see a little bit about what's going on with the original topic, why you guys came here, and we'll go from there. We'll probably pop back to X at some point and just review a little bit of kind of the overall, the overall feel right now with Iran. I mean, it's pretty wild. It's hard to get what's actually going on. There's going to be negotiations tomorrow, which is huge to at least start the conversation. Probably a big thing for the Trump administration is to see, hey, are these people that we can actually work with? Because obviously they couldn't work with the Ayatollah regime, which now they say that there's been a productive regime change. But when it comes to, some of these different islands and what's actually, going to happen with that's probably why they didn't take down a lot of the, different radar towers. I'm wondering, because again, control of the straits based on radar communication, signals intelligence, a lot of these different things that we're going to look at right now, like this comms tower, a lot of it comes down to this being the IRGCs using that to control the Straits of Hormuz. They have to understand which ship is which. And it's not like they have like a satellite that's up there telling them which ship is which. It's a lot of ground-based systems. I mean, at this point, they could be getting help from China with satellite infrastructure, satellite systems. So I wouldn't be totally surprised. But likely, I would say more of a likely situation is some of these different comms towers and buildings. And then Diamond, I've got the member questions pulled up, so thank you. Miranda Wright says they're using Legos for their erection, traveled through space and can't talk to someone 60 feet away. Yeah, and then someone commented like, hey, give them a break. They literally just traveled around the moon. Maybe they're just a little, out of it. So yeah, you're right. Again, we're sitting here at 1G. They just, pulled multiple Gs, flew around the entire, basically, solar system in a way. As far as humans have ever been from Earth. So yeah, okay. But it is fun. It is fun to give them. If we didn't give them a hard time, that would mean something's wrong, right? That would mean we don't actually enjoy them. So we're giving them a hard time because we love them, right? Right, guys? Yeah. All right. So when it comes to these islands, though, the big thing that I think of, and again, Derek made this imagery for us. So hats off to Derek, the guy that doesn't want any credit, but is obviously, you know, a rock star when it comes to this. Okay, that page just locked up. So I'm going to close it and then I'll bring it back up. But when it comes to a lot of these islands, one of the big things that I think about is, what is the plan with the comms towers? What is the actual focus, and why didn't they go bye-bye, right? A lot of reasons why they didn't go bye-bye. We're going to start with the islands, and then we'll move to some of the other targets that have, you know, whether they get hit later or not, we don't know for sure yet. But we'll go ahead and start with the islands, because the comms towers, to me, that's going to be one of the big points that if you really wanted to eradicate the IRGC's ability to control the straits, you would just take down things like this. This is a comms tower and building. Again, all of these things, guys, likely, again, I'm not going to say with 100% certainty, but a lot of these things are really focused on the strait because it's their last domino. This is the way that they are actually able to control what's going through, what's coming in, what they choose to strike, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the big thing there, is remembering that at the end of the day, everything is built to control the strait. So I believe the strait is that way. But let's zoom out and let's see if I was correct. Let's see, is Max correct, or could it be the first mistake I have ever made? Let's see here. Zoom out. I think it's up, but we'll see. Yes. All right, got it. Boom. Still 0 mistakes. Diamond just rolled her eyes. She's like, oh gosh. She's like, good Lord, someone please save me from this guy. Hey, you chose to work here, Diamond. Again, everybody else thinks you're just as crazy as I am at this point. So we're in this together. We're really doing it, Diamond. We're really doing it. I'm pretty sure I saw her roll her eyes right there. Did you roll your eyes? Hang on. Let me see if I can see you. A little bit? Okay. As long as it's just a little bit, that means we're still on the same page. As long as it's just, if it's 0, then that's also bad too. But if it's too much, then that just gets weird. So when we go to the locations where we see the IRGC say that they have, you know, some sort of civilian boat operation, basically just pure fast attack craft, it's pretty clear to us that, you know, these boats, you know, even if they're slow moving boats, let's say they're, you know, top speed of 25 knots or something like that. And that might be generous. I get it for you bass fishermen out there. That might be generous for what they can actually do. But ultimately, you know, if you have 500 of these things, then you're really in a position where at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to defend against unless you have advanced technology, more advanced technology like lamprey. That's something that I've talked about a lot. I really think that lamprey and things like that are very important for this area. And if does anybody know what lamprey is, by the way, let me know. But lamprey is essentially key for a small little waterway like this if you're going to detect what's actually going on. That's what I would say. That'd be the number one thing. Okay, Google Earth's not liking me tonight. We're overpowering it, and it's just being a little bit, it's being like that radio. It's being like the push to talk. Hey, Google Earth, can't you just hit the PTT? Come on, Google Earth, just hit the PTT. Google Earth just crashed. Again, we're working on it, but here we are on X. I'm going to pop you guys over to X because ultimately we need to understand kind of what the context is of the actual IRGC right now, Reza Pahlavi. So I want to just take you guys to this. I thought this was very interesting. Reza Pahlavi. This was just actually posted. Well, here we go. Here we go.
N'oublions pas que c'est ce régime qui est responsable d'avoir.
Okay, it's going to be in. Let's see. Let's go. I think he's talking in Farsi, I believe. But let's go to Reza Pahlavi. I wanted to catch you guys up with what he posted. I believe. Okay, yeah, here it is. I mean, it's a long post, but I think it's probably worth it for me to cover. So I'll at least read a section of it, right? Because this will give us some context into what's kind of going on. Sandra Logue says, Artemis successfully splashed down. Yes, ma'am. It sure did. Okay, so here's Reza Pahlavi, my dear compatriots, the great nation of Iran. Okay, and just so you guys know, this is Reza Pahlavi's X profile. To all of you who stood for freedom and the reclamation of Iran over these 100 days, who with sacrifice stood firm against the bullets. Jeez, I know, crazy to think about. Whew. Literally, people knew they were going to get shot and still went out into the streets, which is crazy. Over the past 40 days, braved the threat of bombardment. I send my salutations. I know that the news of the 2-week ceasefire between the Islamic Republic and America and Israel has disheartened many of you, but today is not a time for despair, but for greater faith in victory. What happened over these 40 days is precisely in line with the very demands that the Iranian nation made of the international community. Yeah, good point. And after pouring out their blood in the streets, shouted once more in the Global Day of Action demonstrations on February 14th, February 25th in the Persian calendar. The blows struck against the Islamic Republic in just 40 days are unprecedented and irreparable for this regime. The elimination of Ali Khamenei, the leader of tens of thousands of the killer of tens of thousands of brave Iranians, is in itself a historic achievement for our nation. Yeah, good point. I mean, that's actually a really good point. Literally, that alone is a message to the next Ayatollah. It's like, hey, you want to do it? You want to do what the crazy wizard did? You might want to think again. Beyond him, dozens of commanders and key perpetrators of repression in the IRGC, besiege, and the regime's intelligence apparatus have also been removed. Thousands of repressive forces have been annihilated. The command and control structure for repression has been paralyzed and shattered. Military infrastructure not built to defend Iran, but to export terrorism and instability has been destroyed. The regime's financial resources for domestic repression and overseas terrorism has been severely curtailed. The Islamic Republic is more isolated and despised in the region and the world today than ever before. All right, we'll read one more paragraph here. What remains for this regime is to rely on foreign mercenaries. We know that. We talked about that. We know there's Chechen rebels that have come into the country as well to protect, basically be the bodyguards of some of the regime. And a bloodthirsty, blood-soaked minority whose interests lie in its survival, a regime that has suffered a harsh defeat in the field of reality, yet by cutting off the internet to 90 million Iranians and through its machinery of lies, still strikes poses of victory and chants boasts. Wow. Those who claim they would never accept a ceasefire have today lost both their leader and commanders, lost the war, accepted the ceasefire, and been dragged to the negotiating table for complete surrender. Okay, I'll read one more. This is getting pretty good, actually. Maybe I'll just read the whole thing. But we knew from the start that the Islamic Republic would not fall merely through the elimination of its command and the weakening of its repressive apparatus via airstrikes. That is why in every message to you, I emphasize that it is we, the Iranian nation, who must deliver the final blow to this weakened regime and to bring it down. I want you to know that I am closely monitoring your situation in Iran. I know the Islamic Republic has been greatly weakened, but its capacity for repression has not been entirely eliminated. My sole aim is for the final action to topple, the Islamic Republic to come at the least possible human cost. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's cool. The life of each and every one of you is precious to me, so I ask you to remain patient, protect yourselves, and with faith in victory and full readiness, await the decisive moment. Wow. This is kind of like a Syria model, actually. We'll talk about the Syria model here in a second. In the meantime, I and all our compatriots abroad will, with all our strength, raise your demand, the end of the Islamic Republic, as our rallying cry. Have faith that no force in the world can stand against the power of a united nation. This time, the Islamic Republic has no escape route. Wow. Damn. No chance for survival, and by the mighty hands of you, the great nation of Iran, it will be overthrown. So by the hands of you, the great nation of Iran, the regime will be overthrown. Long live Iran, Reza Pahlavi. Wow. 1.4 million views. So there you go. That kind of answers the questions, right? We had the questions before, but why aren't there any uprisings in Iran? Because they're being smart and they're being told by Reza to, hey guys, we need you. Don't put yourselves in undue harm so that we lose you. We've already lost enough of these people, right? So, pretty wild. Let's see if the Strait of Hormuz monitor, let's go ahead and pull that up and see what's actually going on in the Strait. I think that's important for us to see. The Straits of Hormuz, guys, we were told by Iran that it'd be opened up, right? Surprise, surprise. Oh, weird. They didn't open the Strait. We're all shocked. But the reason why is because they say that it was due to the Lebanon situation, the Lebanese situation, where we know that Israel was, basically unleashing on Hezbollah. They're unleashing on the command structure of the terrorist proxies of Iran, which Iran hates. Iran's like, wait, you're taking down our terrorist proxies? Like, that wasn't a part of the deal. It's like, actually, yeah, it is. And if you guys saw like the whole Syria situation, the way that it played out, just from my perspective, it took a while, right? Bashar al-Assad was in charge in Syria, and it took a while for that regime to crumble because his grubby little paws were so tight into the actual country itself. And you can't blame the people of Syria either, right? They were getting slaughtered as well. Massive civil war uprisings happening there. I mean, honestly, let me kind of like think through this. It took probably, I remember having conversations with Tulsi Gabbard about what was going on. This was like 2017. This was while I was on the Thunderbirds. We were talking about how Bashar al-Assad, basically Hillary Clinton said that, I'm looking up and away because I'm basically like recalling past information. I don't know if you guys know that, but when you're recalling past information, you typically look up and I think to the left. That's what I'm doing right now. So Hillary Clinton said that she was a Russian asset, said that basically Russia had co-opted her. And this was due to the fact that Tulsi was like, hey, Bashar al-Assad is a real POS and is killing his people, doesn't need to be in power. But she wasn't calling for full boots on the ground either. She was basically saying how evil Bashar al-Assad was. And Hillary's like, oh, she's a Russian puppet. No, Hillary, literally, she's just calling out an evil guy who's killing his people. Do you guys see what's happening again? Do you guys see how history can repeat itself with what we're seeing right now? With everybody calling Trump evil, probably calling me evil because we want to get rid of this evil regime. But they use it for political points. So I'm not even trying to be political here. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it comes down to the fact that when things like this happen, it's going to be made political by a certain political party because they don't want it to look good for the other political party. But what ended up happening in Syria, right? You guys can answer that. You guys know what happened in Syria. We all know what happened in Syria. Ultimately, Bashar al-Assad, it was proved he was a Russian. He was propped up by Russia. He's living in Russia now. He's living in Moscow. And Hillary's like, oh, Tulsi's a Russian puppet. Hillary, what are you hiding? That's my big question. I mean, at this point, all bets are off. Even Tucker Carlson is saying like he really doesn't agree with the conflict, doesn't understand the conflict. Israel's responsible for everything. So again, guys, I'm trying to get you to think on a different level. History might be repeating itself. Look back at the history of Syria, what happened there. Bashar al-Assad, it looked like he had a total firm grip on the country. The difference there is there was rebels who were honestly branded as terrorists at the time that then became in charge of the country, and they're now in charge of the country itself. So the problem with Iran is they've killed and harvested 45,000, 15 to 45,000. You guys pick the number. Both are bad, right? But they've took out a lot of those rebel groups because they have such a stronghold on their country and they have such an ability to control their people because they've pumped all that money from China into a legitimate military, basically death squads, So that's kind of the big picture when I think of, oh, Tulsi Gabbard is called out by Hillary. And turns out Tulsi Gabbard was 100% right about Syria and Bashar al-Assad. So what's happening right now? Like, who's being called out right now that in a couple years, maybe it takes a couple years, and the U.S. doesn't need to be militarily striking Iran for 2 years. There can be a lot of things done behind the scenes. You weaken Iran, and then a lot of things are done behind the scenes, Mossad, CIA. Maybe there needs to be one more big strike, one more big cleaning out of the regime. This is called retrenchment, by the way. There's actually a strategy of retrenchment where it was, I learned about it in one of these officer schools. The U.S. Air Force sends us to these schools. I learned about it. And this guy wrote a paper called Retrenchment, where you don't have boots on the ground. This was during the Afghanistan, Iraq days, where all the officers that were higher level being promoted had to kiss the ring of Cheney, Bush, and they're all like, yeah, a big, massive invasion is good. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All these yes men are like, yeah, we just want everything to be boots on the ground like Iraq and Afghanistan. And then this guy has the cojones to come out and be like, yo, this is not the best way to do a war. The best way to execute a war versus these terrorist regimes, or, I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. If you really think about in Iraq, you think of Saddam Hussein, basically a terrorist regime. I mean, his sons were doing some, I'm not even going to say it. His sons were doing some wild stuff, but there's some, well, okay, I'll just say it. His sons were basically feeding people to their tigers. You guys know that, right? Like, that's the crazy, like he was literally taking political opponents, killing them, chopping them up, and feeding them to his tigers. Like, bro, oh, crazy. That's the level of terrorists that those guys were. But it took a while, right? To get them out of power. Boom. They were a little more assertively taken out of power because of the invasion. We know that it wasn't going to be as hard of a problem as Iran. Iran's a little different, where they've literally become incredibly rich from China and built a legitimate military that has the ability to do proxy wars on a level that you would not believe. IEDs, improvised explosive devices, all the crazy stuff. So anyway, I want to get to the Strait of Hormuz, but I want to give you guys a little background on that whole Tulsi Gabbard thing, where Hillary calls her a Russian puppet. Turns out she was right, and that Bashar al-Assad was the Russian puppet. Now he's living in Moscow. So now let's just peel some layers of the onion back, right? The Iranian regime, terrorist regime, backed by Russia, just like the Syrian regime was under Bashar al-Assad. All these people coming out calling Trump evil, Tucker Carlson, I mean, you name it, right? All these people that have basically come out of the woodwork to get clicks, that are basically doing the same thing that happened with Syria during that whole time, right? During the whole Obama time with the Syria situation. So keep your eye on the ball. That's all I'll say. I mean, we're going to keep doing these live streams as often as we can to kind of keep us all thinking in the, a direction that's hopefully oriented towards truth the best we possibly can. But just look back at history, because a lot of times history will repeat itself. So just be aware of that whole Syria situation. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but what I am saying is there's going to be, history doesn't repeat, it rhymes, right? That's the quote that people talk about. So it will rhyme potentially with what happened in Syria. That's all I'm saying. All right. Strait of Hormuz. Diamond didn't roll her eyes at me during that diatribe, so that's good. She seemed to actually be enjoying it. Diamond, give me a thumbs up if you're still alive. Diamond check. Yes, she's still with us. She loves my chats. Literally, after these chats are done, she calls me and she's like, the chat tonight was so good. Like, she actually she has done that like twice, I think, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, my chat's over here. my people over here.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me the whole time. You were talking about everybody else?
No. I'm just kidding. You're good too, man.
Okay. See, I need that. My ego needs that. All right. So back to the Strait of Hormuz. When you look at, let me make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing here. Yeah. Okay. So restricted, right? And this is, I covered this in today's video because I wanted you guys to see the truth data on what's actually going through the strait. So the actual word that you can describe the strait with right now is restricted, even though, effectively closed with limiting ships to 15 to 20 daily transits under coordinated requirements. Ceasefire fragile, shipping minimal despite agreement. Okay. Duration of restriction, 3 days, 51 minutes, but that is actually more. When I checked it this morning, it was like 5, but now it's 15 to 20. And Trump put a little bit of pressure on them, saying they better get their act together with the strait. And they kind of know, even the whole Lebanon thing. Oh, you're killing our proxy terrorists. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot more of them are probably going to be targeted as well, by the way. So it's just kind of weird that inner regime is like, oh, our proxies are being targeted. You're not allowed to target our proxy terrorists. Okay. Well, we'll see about that. I think that's only going to ramp up here in the next few days, just letting you guys know. Brent crude, let's see, daily throughput. I need help, Diamond, with what DWT means. Daily, I thought it would be like barrels, like actual, or gallons. Can you help me out with the daily throughput of DWT means? And just let me know in the member document. Transits, 7 ships are current. I think this is okay. Last 24 hours. Oh, wow. It's still only 7. So I don't know why this changed to 15 to 20 daily transits, because this says 7 right here. So vessels waiting, data not available because the number is too large, probably. Just wild. It says 7 ships are transiting right now. Okay. So maybe this means how many are transiting right now, not a 24-hour number. But I wish we could see where the actual ships were. We'll go back to the actual tracker on X and see if we can see them over there. But as you can see, inbound, it's pretty interesting. They go left. They go inbound on the left, and then outbound. So red, right, wrong is what I know about aircraft as far as the lights that you will see. So if you see a red light, it's coming on the right side of the aircraft. That means it's coming at you. So just so you know. Narrowest point, 21 nautical miles. Yeah, pretty tight. 7 ships transiting right now. Brent crude is at $127, and it's trending up just a little bit. Why Hormuz matters by the numbers. 21% of the, now it's at 21%. It trickled up by 1% today. 21% of the world's oil supply. Someone was like, hey, we can we get 1%? They're like, yeah, sure. France, you want extra 1%? Just stop bothering us. Just take your 1%. Just get your croissants and just stop bothering us. Get your espresso and your croissants and take your 1% and just like leave us alone. They added on that 1%. No, I like the people of France. I joke around. I poke fun at France. I actually have some good friends that live in Paris, and they're really good people. They are really good people. The leader, I think the guy needs to get a backbone. 20 million barrels per day. That's pretty good. Not going through right now. 33 kilometers, 21 miles at the narrowest point. Approximately 60 vessels daily. I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 150 normally. So why is it a choke point? Because it's 21 miles. That's probably one of the big things. Peace talks are scheduled. Fragile 2-week U.S.-Iran ceasefire agreed negotiations scheduled for Islamabad April 12th. I thought they were starting tomorrow. I think they might be starting tomorrow. It says April 12th, Saturday. What's today? Today's the 10th. Maybe the days are different because of the time zone changes. I doubt it. I think it's tomorrow. LNG supply, 20% also of LNG. Let's see. I think Diamond is very intelligent and she has the potential to be our next attorney general. Does she have a criminal justice or law background? We'll let her talk about if she wants that job after at the end of the stream. She doesn't have a law background, but literally you throw her into a high stakes situation and she's really good under pressure. So that's why we call her Diamond. So I think she could probably handle it. Global trade impact.
I mean, I did like a case study, like a court case in school where I was the prosecutor and I won. So there we go.
And she just jumped in. And I didn't even ask her to jump in. So obviously she's not afraid to take control. Diamond, let's call this the Diamond Show at this point.
Yep. No,
okay, thanks, Diamond. All right, so critical trade impact, Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, India, Europe. Obviously, Europe's going to be high. Critical for Middle East and global LNG. The LNG, the liquid natural gas markets. Supply chain disruptions, we know that's the case, 250%, 2.8%, 34 days. Okay. Yeah, I think you guys kind of get the point, right? We get it. But it is interesting. It is fun to look at. Don't need that anymore. I will probably pop to Google Earth in a second, but I want to take you guys back to X for a little bit and let's just kind of see what's happening there. Lots more that we can cover just to kind of get our arms around what's actually going on with the Strait of Hormuz. Yep. Reza Pahlavi reposted President Trump stay the course. Iran has made its choice. Saturday, April 11th, gatherings of Iranians in front of U.S. embassies and consulates worldwide. Okay, cool. Well, that's great. It'll be really good to see kind of the people coming out again, showing like, look, this hasn't ended. People still want. Here's the thing too. Okay, you guys can tell me if you think this is off base. But when it comes to like Tucker Carlson, kind of saying Israel's responsible for everything, that's what's getting all the clicks right now, right? There's a lot of Americans like, I randomly talked to somebody who, and I think it's a low IQ thing, if I'm being honest. If someone's just blaming everything on Israel, I think it's a low IQ thing, or it's a busy thing. They could be high IQ, but they're super busy. So they don't have the time to actually think about what's going on. So they just blame it on Israel. And then people like Tucker, Candace, they grab onto that and they're like, oh, sweet. We can get like almost, like say 40% of Americans who are thinking that, or it's a lot, to give us clicks. Oh, heck yeah. And then they probably boosted themselves in the rankings, got a ton of clicks. So again, when I look at it, I follow the money, I follow the clicks. I'm not saying I don't want clicks. I'm just saying if that's all that runs your life, then things can get weird. And so I see that in a lot of Americans where they're like, Israel's the reason why it's cloudy outside. Oh, it rained today. Must be Israel. It's like, no, dude, that's a mainstream talking point that's become a corporate media talking point for certain outlets that Candace and Tucker are cashing in on. So they're making a lot of money off of those statements, but it's because a lot of the lower IQ or the busy people that are just too busy, they've basically decided, well, I can basically turn my brain off and focus on other things if I just go with that mainstream talking point. So that's what I've kind of learned a lot about there. All right, so let's see what's going on with Iran, let's just go Strait of Hormuz and see what's happening there, since I told you guys that's what we were going to talk about. Strait of Hormuz. We'll go to the latest. That was 36 minutes ago. Mario now falls, bringing it up. Iran biggest problem at the negotiating table might be one it created itself. New York Times report Iran can't fully open Hormuz because it literally cannot find all the mines it planted. IRGC used small boats to mine the strait haphazardly in the early days of the war. Yeah, so I'm actually going to cover the minefield that's in Iran. I wonder if I can bring that up right now. Oh, actually, I can. Yes, this might take a second. And I'll talk about how the minefield can be found. But yeah, actually, I can bring up something really cool for you guys. I think you're going to love this. I just got this today. Marine Traffic is a great site for viewing. Yes, this is coming in from Derek. Derek's hitting us up here. Yeah, this will be worth the wait. I want to take you guys into some of the minefields that Derek has brought up to my attention recently. Let's see. Oil and gas pipelines, oil terminal port locations. Yeah, IRGC minefield. Boom. Okay, I think I can bring, let's see. I think I can bring that into Google Earth, but I'm not exactly sure. A .kml file. Hopefully that works. This will be worth the wait. Yeah, we'll pop to Google Earth real quick. Come on, Google Earth, we need you. Boom. Okay, I think this is going to work, guys. I just love imagery. I don't know what it is. Just gives me this little tingly feeling when I think of imagery. And then Diamond gets the tingle too, but she can't show it on her face because she knows that she can't encourage me when I start doing this little tingle thing. All right. So anyway, oh, I crack myself up so much. All right. So when we look at the minefield itself, ultimately, I mean, would you want to go through this? I wouldn't want to go through this. So this is showing like where they potentially dropped the mines. And I think they just dropped a whole bunch of them because they knew they were going to go away. So supposedly they just dropped a whole bunch of mines right here. And they probably can't open it themselves. Like they can't go find the mines. Like they don't know exactly where the mines are. So we did see a few more ships going through. What I've heard is they're hugging the coastline of Iran to get through. So that tells me there's probably a massive minefield right here. And so there's going to be a big minefield cleanup to actually get ships to be able to pass through this big chunk of the straits. I mean, how big of let's just measure how big the minefield is. So I went a little bit outside of it just for, you don't want to go right through it. You're going to avoid it by a little bit. So 60 kilometers. So, I mean, yeah, 60 kilometers from corner to corner. And then if we go from, let's just go across. So again, this is from Derek. Shout out to Derek for building this for us. So 60 kilometers diagonal and then 40.8, 41 kilometers. If you just go side to side, that's a big chunk of space to avoid, guys. I mean, man, would you guys want to go through it? I don't know. I don't know if I would go through it. That might be a tough one for me to think about it. I'd be like, yeah, can we actually postpone this? I just kind of want to sip my latte. That's the minefield. So, I mean, all bets are off, I think, when it comes to the actual minefield itself. And let's see what we can find here. IRGC, Strait of Hormuz, minefield. Yeah. Okay, I've got an image. I'm going to share this with you guys too. I think this is kind of cool. So this kind of brings us into some actual charted imagery that probably is going to be shared with the ship captains themselves. So showing, where actually the minefield is something that's going to be on charts like this. So this is it's actually a circle, but Derek basically put the A, B, C, D parts for us, but this is the source data of that. So it shows you guys there is a new route, but it goes up and around near the coastline for this way. So it brings ships way closer. Oh, and that's probably a big part of their tactic, right? Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. They're going to make that their tactic, which is pretty smart strategically, is to move all the ships closer to your coastline so you can target them more effectively. So again, if ships were able to pass through right here, they basically essentially choked the choke point down. Let's see. How much did they choke it down to? That's what we can see here. That'll help us. So they choked it down to a piece of just a smaller chunk that just looks incredibly small. So let's go ahead and go back to this. All right, should bring that up. Here we go. Nope. Almost. All right, there we go. That's what we want. So let's see how much of the strait is actually passable. When it comes to the naval strategy here, it's actually pretty good. Like, I'm just going to call a spade a spade. That's actually pretty smart, that tactic that they used. But again, it looks like there's a route for outgoing that comes this way, and then a route for ingoing that they're bringing in through here. But it says they're bringing it through these small little tight waterways, which, I guess it's deep enough for some of these bigger ships, but it also looks a little sketchy. But that could be part of the reason why it's actually restricted as much as it is. So let's just see here. So 50 kilometers, what are we talking? Like 20, 22 miles for this point right here? Is that roughly? But that's not exactly how much room you have to work, right? So right here, it's actually 15 kilometers because that's the space that ships can actually get through going this way. So that's that one. And then when we come, let's go back to here. If they're actually using this as a waterway, this is another 15 kilometers-ish right here. Wow. So you guys can see why these minefields can be a big issue if you're a ship captain trying to get through these. It's not going to be something that you're going to want to get close to, the minefield, but then also when it comes to the actual naval capacity of Iran itself, because that's another thing to think about, right? It's not just the fact that there's a minefield here. It's the fact that as you get closer and closer to Iran, they have more of an ability to launch drones. Let's just say from, we don't know exactly where they're launching them from. They want to keep it that way. But, a lot of these buildings can be multi-purpose. Literally the roof on one of these could just open up. The roof opens and then a drone flies out and no one really knows where it came from. And it's just disguised as a residential house. And they just keep that really quiet, and keeping that really quiet is going to allow that to persist. So ultimately, guys, as you can see, the strait is a big problem. It's a big problem it's a big nut to crack, but ultimately it's one that's going to have to be looked at extremely hard here in the next few days. And I'll probably, on tomorrow's video, I'll probably cover what Iran has done to the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know. Diamond, what do you think? Any suggestions for tomorrow's video that you've seen in the chat?
Not anything like specific. If anybody has anything, tag me and chat it in the chat and I'll write it down.
What a rock star. All right, let's just do a little more perusing here just to see a little more about, what could be threatening these ships. Dual use. Remember, a lot of this is dual use. So even though it looks to us like, oh, it's just a little vacation island. Yeah, no. Especially some of the radars and systems like that. Let me see if I can actually bring us back. I want to bring us back into a little bit of the radars before we end. That'll be the last thing we do, is just look at some of the radars that are actually responsible for detecting the actual ships. But again, they're trying to get them close, right? So that should tell you a lot. The fact that they're trying to get everything as close as they are, I mean, that's the big tell that they don't really have the reach or the detection capability, because a lot of it's about detection capability. So let's go ahead and check out where they could actually be doing this from. So again, Derek, thank you for building the imagery, my friend. Really appreciate that. Let's just go to this one, for example. This is something I've been looking at recently over the last few days. I'm really surprised a lot of these didn't go bye-bye. But again, it's probably a part of the bigger strategic plan. If you're going to transfer this over at some point to a more responsible, less radicalized regime, then you want to keep a lot of this stuff here, because this is how they can make money, have an economy. But this little airfield, Kashem, I don't think this got struck yet. I could be wrong. But a UAV hangar, I mean, this is the perfect place. Like, watch. Let's just check this out. Let's just put ourselves in a hypothetical situation where, oh man, Google Earth is not liking me tonight. Well, you know what, Google Earth, we're not going to quit. We're actually going to bring you up one more time. And then we're also going to look and see where those unmanned aerial vehicles could actually be flying to. Because if there's hangars there for UAVs, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to understand that the hangar there for the UAVs could be used for some of those Shahed drones. The Shahed drone situation is one that it's probably their biggest focus when it comes to striking the ships, but that's not it. Underwater unmanned vehicles as well. So this is a IRGC Navy base. Okay, so it's a launch site for their big ships, right? They're bringing their big ships up. A lot of these have been struck. But look at this thing. All you got to do, I mean, you just load this little fishing trawler. It looks like a fishing trawler. You load that up with 50 underwater unmanned vehicles, and you just go fishing right out here. You dump them into the ocean, and then you can use some sort of a transmission device to target those in, on ships that are just coming through the strait. So it's going to be a wild situation to try to curtail all that. But over here, the big thing I'm thinking of is the UAVs. So, let me share that screen with you guys while I'm talking about it. Okay, boom. So this is what I was talking about before, the IRGC base right here. There's a ton of little ships. There's a ton of little fast attack craft. So that's going to be a big problem, because it's going to be really hard to get around that as far as targeting all the different UUVs. Don't worry, Google Earth, we got it from here. We're going to wait, and we're going to talk about it since you keep locking up. So right here, though, the radar systems, think about these as being the ones that are going to target the ships. These are going to target the different ships, because the ships now are going to come really close to the actual island itself. So with them coming that close, they're just going to be way easier to target for the IRGC. And that's their whole goal. They've done a good job with the mining. Hi, Max. Did you not watch Artemis 2 coming home? Yes, I did, actually. Why would you have a live broadcast during that? The world was watching Artemis 2. We did watch Artemis 2. We watched it splash down, and we watched them say, we're going to erect a craft to get the astronauts off. So we saw that happening. Could you talk about drones as mine hunters? Oh, that's a good, interesting point. I mean, the lamprey itself, that could be used to actually target mines for sure. I mean, it's got little mini torpedoes on it. So the lamprey to me is probably the most capable system there. Really cool. Dave's World. Could you talk about, yeah, we just did that. Alpha Omega. What's our community called? Oh, the Max Afterburners? I don't know. Like, we should take a poll. We'll take a poll. That's a really good question. I think that's a good idea to take a poll. Let's see if we can do that real quick. Not going to let me on Restream actually do a poll. So we'll save that for next time. But don't worry, Max AB Diamond, she'll take a note on that. And maybe we just call it the Max Afterburner crew. I don't know, something cool. If you guys have any thoughts, throw it in the stream. Would love to hear what you think. Guys, that's it for me tonight. Diamond, do you have any words you want to share with everybody? You got 10 seconds. Go for it.
No, we got to come up with something better than that because that is boring, I will say.
All right, so the
So,
burners. We're
we
not gonna do
gotta-
burners because burners is like what is that? That's like
No.
Burning Man. That's not us.
Yeah, no. Let's not do that. We gotta think of something really good, and our people in the chat can help us come up with something too. So if you have any suggestions or anything that's clever and cool sounding, then let us know.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, that's it for us tonight. Thanks everybody for being here. Diamond, any parting words for everybody?
Yeah, thank you all for being here with us tonight on, your Friday night. Definitely love chatting with all of y'all every night. So that is definitely one of the highlights of my evening, most days at least. But yeah, see y'all on the next one.
Take care, everybody. Max Afterburner, Diamond signing off. We'll see you guys.